Hello, Romania! Hello, this is my first public speaking here in Romania, so I'm a bit nervous. My presentation is divided into three sections. The first one will cover the history and the theory of artificial intelligence. In artificial intelligence, because my ambition is that no one leaves this room without getting the comprehension of how artificial neural networks really work under the hood. Then in the second part, we'll discuss more lively examples of how artificial intelligence works in e-commerce, and then we'll discuss the results. So the presentation will take roughly 30 minutes. The first 10 minutes will be most difficult. Okay, but so first of all, I would like to ask you, who of you have ever played with ChatGPT? Yeah, so you're in the right room. Great, excellent. So you have your story already started. This is really, really great. You have your mobile phones ready. You will need them during this presentation at least a few times. So, as I said, you have your story already started, but the story for us as mankind have started like 3,000 years ago in ancient Greek. And precisely speaking, in Greek mythology, we find the myth of Talos. Talos was neither a god nor a human being. It was a machine. A robot made of bronze designed with one single purpose, to patrol the island of Crete and look out for enemies. So Talos was looking the horizon, and if spotted enemy warships, it was to throw heavy stones and rocks against incoming invaders. So today we would say AI-driven military device. But of course, back then, they didn't use this word, artificial intelligence. But this myth shows us one thing. We, as mankind, we have been dreaming about machines capable of processing external data, drawing conclusions, and making decisions instead of us. We have been dreaming about such possibilities since the beginning of the civilization, but it is now when these dreams become true. But the path to make these dreams become true, they led through inventing computers. So this is the first computer, ENIAC, from the 40s, from Pennsylvania. And now, do please meet Alan Turing, a British mathematician. Alan, please meet, this is everyone. And Alan Turing put lots of merits in IT science, and he came up especially with one interesting concept, Turing's test. We call it today Turing's test. In this test, a human, a judge, talks to a machine and to other human being. Once the judge cannot distinguish whether it was talking to a human being or a machine, then it means the machine is wise enough to trick us, is wise enough to pass the test. Alan Turing expected machines to be ready to talk to us like humans by the year 2000. So he was not that much wrong with this. Okay, if you think Tesla cars was the first car capable of autonomous driving, here's the Mercedes from the 80s. It is that big because the computer equipment required to process all the data was that heavy and big. But nevertheless, this car, some 40 years ago, was able to drive German motorways on itself. And this is how it all started. This is about the theory of neural networks. Because we all have biological neural network, which is our brain, consisting of approximately 1 billion of neural cells. And in this simplified diagram, we see how a neural cell looks. So it has some inputs, called dendrites, and they accept signals. And then the cell decides whether to pass the signal to other cells using this long stem axon. This is how we all work. This is how living creatures on this planet work. And this biological structure has been converted into a sort of logical structure in the 43 by McCulloch and Pitts with this model. As you see, it looks very similar. So it has lots of inputs and some W1, W2, Wn, these are the waves. Because the signals are not of the same importance. So the signal from my toe is not the same for my brain as the signal from my chest. It might be of different importance. So that's why we put some waves. Further on, we'll call them parameters to the network. And what artificial neural networks, what they really do is calculating a wave sum of all these inputs. So this is just simple basic math. And they end up with one single number. And they decide whether to pass the activation further, and usually passes through a nonlinear function. This is hyperbolic tangents. Why nonlinear? Because life is nonlinear, so that's why we use usually nonlinear functions here. And so it's just calculating the numbers. That's how neural networks work. And the good news for you is that was the most difficult part of the presentation. Now things are going to be only easier. So we stack these neurons into layers, yes? So we build networks like this. And these networks help us to solve many problems. And nothing works like living examples. So this is a very simple example how it may work. Two tables, 8 by 8 pixels. Yes, this is plus, this is minus. So I'm sure all of you can see exactly what is plus and what is minus right here. Yes, it's obvious for us humans. But if you look closely, some of the pixels are imperfect. Yeah, so that's why it's hard for the computer to tell whether it's a plus or minus, because computer needs 0-1 data, and all imperfections of this kind are difficult to interpret. That's why we can use artificial intelligence. So as we have 8 by 8, which is 64 inputs, our neural network would have 64 neurons at the beginning on the left, and then, so here we are. Yeah, 0 if the pixel is not lit, 1 if it's fully bright, and so on. And at the end, plus and minus, just two neurons saying whether the image was a plus or a minus. And you can see many lines, over 1,000 of lines. And on each of these lines, we have this wave, W1, W2, Wn. So 1,000 of parameters to train this network to tell whether something is a plus or a minus sign. Just simple image recognition, distinguishing between pluses and minuses. To train this network means to present the network with thousands of pictures with pluses and minuses, imperfect pluses and imperfect minuses, so long that we adjust all the parameters to get satisfying results. So pretty lots of experimenting, pretty lots of training to solve such a simple problem. Now you can take your mobile phones, because I asked if you have your mobile phones with you. So now this is the first moment you will need them, because I would like to ask you to take the mobile phones, look at the screen of your mobiles, look closely. If you are lucky enough or have an old mobile phone, you might spot that the screen consists of pixels, right? And just imagine that one pixel represents the complexity of this model I have shown to you. You would need an object of that big, as a big stadium in a big city, converted to a gigantic screen full of pixels, yet that would not be enough to hold all the pixels required to reflect the complexity of ChatGPT. Because you all raised your hands, so you know what ChatGPT does. And to perform its tasks, it needed almost 2 billion of parameters. So such huge computation power was required to train this model. And that is why we as mankind had to wait 3,000 years, because we needed the theory and technology which would enable us to train such huge networks, because this network is really huge. And this leaves us with the world full of all AI-driven solutions, converting text to images, text to video, text to audio. You know, at MIT they have finished the Unfinished Symphony by Franz Schubert, a masterpiece of classical music. He didn't finish because he died, but artificial intelligence finished his symphony based on the notes of his previous masterpieces. Text to text, like ChatGPT, or text to code, because ChatGPT is pretty good at coding as well. Okay, that would be all for the boring theory. Perhaps some of you remember Clark Kent turning into Superman. So as boring journalist, he was just, getting rid of his clothes, because now things are going to move a bit faster. And we are moving to the living world. This is a particular living example, a turtle. okay, a living creature. So our task today is how to sell the turtle. Let's run an e-commerce site and a kind of pet shop with reptiles and try to sell turtles. How AI can support us with this task. First of all, we must come up with a good domain name. A good domain name is something unobvious because it must pop inside one's head pretty easily. It must be short, and you know, I am from CyberForks, a hosting company, so we know lots about domains. We have checked 100,000 of domains in Romania, and we know exactly what does it mean to have a short domain name, not longer than 9 characters. And yet the domain should be easy and available to register. Domains of this sort, they are still very hard to find, and every year they are harder and harder to be found. So that's why we came up with an AI-based solution like Domain Creator. You go to Domains, Domain Creator on our website, and you just briefly describe your business. So, like pet shop with reptiles, click Inspire, and you get lots of inspirations on domain names, how to name your e-commerce business with reptiles. And you can with one click, you can just put it to a cart and register such a domain name. You can just check, here's the QR code. You can scan it, because I ask if you have your mobile phones, and go directly to this website and briefly describe your business. Then I asked AI whom to sell the turtle, so about target groups. And look, animal lovers, breeders, schools, kindergartens, and so on and so on. I would say Turing's test passed here with flying colors, because this is the sort of answer that would be given by a pretty well-trained human marketing specialist. So I was really impressed with this one. Now, how our e-commerce site should look like? Maybe we could find some inspirations, because I have mentioned that we have some text-to-image class solutions, and here we can go to Midjourney, describe briefly that we need an inspiration for an e-commerce site selling turtles, and ta-da! This is how it may look like. Okay, so we get this inspiration, and we can cut it into a table, use it in Magento, WooCommerce, PrestaShop, really doesn't matter in which engine. Here it is implemented in our WooCommerce-based engine stores, which we develop in Poland. But generally speaking, once we have the idea, the execution usually works pretty fast. But where to take these animals from, and terrarias and other features needed to sell this sort of things? Well, dropshipping might be an answer. So you don't keep your stock, but you cooperate with warehouses, and they send it directly to your customer when someone orders something from your store. But the problem with these businesses, like they usually provide you with XML files full of details, but each shop gets exactly the same XML file. So everyone gets the same product descriptions. So this drives us to the world in which we can not distinguish ourselves from the competition, because everyone has the same descriptions on the products. And you can integrate OpenAI with Google Sheets, and then just drag down the formula to prepare your own description in a language. So pretty useful when you run an e-commerce site. And if you take closer attention to this prompting, you can get really a fascinating result with a very high quality product description. In this example, I have asked for a description of this terrarium, just told that AI to work as an e-commerce site owner, just take a look at the language of benefits about comfort, comfortable living, durable glass, ensuring safety for your pet, necessary for health, well-being, and so on and so on. So lots of phrases which you could classify as the language of benefits. It's not only about the physical features of this product. How about SEO? Well, I asked about SEO, and again, Alan Turing's test passed with flying colors, because I was given lots of inspirations about how to organize our SEO, how to organize phrases into categories based on search intent, like species of the turtles, tanks, feeding, equipment, books about reptiles, and so on and so on. So tons of inspirations, which I would be surely given by a trained SEO specialist. So again, Turing's test passed pretty well. Okay, I asked to prepare the list of these phrases and present it to me in the form of a table, so I could easily copy and paste them in my Excel, and taram, 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 just 1 or 2 minutes, and I was ready to go with a list of phrases. One of them was particularly interesting: how to care for domestic turtle, because usually when you sell animals or sell anything, you want to be perceived as an expert in your field, because then it is more likely that people will buy from you, not from other shops selling this sort of items. So that's why we wanted to set up a blog with related content, and this was writing for a place how to care for a domestic turtle, and in just 10 to 15 minutes I was ready with a fully blog article about caring for domestic turtle. Of course, the question rises whether it is any good from SEO point of view, so I asked my friend specializing in SEO, and she said it was scaringly good, because in 10 to 15 minutes it covered all the traits of a good SEO blog post. So, wow, that was really terrifying. Okay, but so we have the blog post, but how to make people read this one? Maybe we should use social media to encourage people to go to our blog post. So let's ask OpenAI to prepare a social media post encouraging people to read our blog post about turtles, and so there it is with emojis, with hashtags, and of course here an obvious question may pop up in your head. Is it possible that a post written on Facebook by artificial intelligence drives any attention of real human beings? That's a serious question. I have asked this question myself a few months ago, because as a brand we are entering Romania and rebranding the renowned MX Host brand, which was here for 18 years. And it happened in February here in Romania, so I wrote a post about it, and as you see, it has many interactions, like 4,000 of views and some reshares, comments, almost 100 of interactions, with no marketing budget put into it, no advertising at all. The only thing is that I didn't write it myself. 90% of this was written by AI. So as you can see, the intelligence might be artificial, but the attention of the people gets quite real. Okay, and so now let's hope someone will buy something from our e-commerce site. And we may ask to write a review, and we have a review by Artificial Marta, who just bought a turtle or an aquarium terrarium for turtle in a non-existing e-commerce site. But you know, this testimonial looks like real, and I think it's a bit terrifying, because when someone trades faked opinions in the internet, it's just an easy fuel for such a dishonest company. But if you are an honest company, you can still use it to encourage your customers to give you better reviews, more profound reviews better than "it's okay, everything fine," and things like this. So maybe it can be some sort of inspiration. But sometimes, you know, sometimes shit happens. Sometimes glass breaks. And this happened during the shipment of the terrarium to one of the customers. So we got the broken glass and an angry customer who is furious about his delivery, and he asks us to immediately replace the product or refund him, so we can use an AI to write back and answer, "By the way, this is our webmail," because I said we are a hosting company, so this is our webmail, and from technical engineering point of view, we are ready to provide you with this functionality to write back using AI. Unfortunately, it is not enabled yet, because we are talking with the lawyers, GDPR things, this sort. So from legal point of view, we cannot turn it on yet. But from technical point of view, we are pretty ready. So again, I would say Alan's Turing's test passed again with, because look, I am sorry, please accept sincerest apologies. I would like to offer a replacement terrarium free of charge, and so on and so on. So as you can see, artificial intelligence can greatly support your customer support in e-commerce site. So to get you the feeling that you are just, you know, rowing boat on a calm surface of the lake, you need to learn a few things about prompting this artificial intelligence. Just remember to tell the AI who you are, to whom you are talking to, where does this communication takes place, like in email, video, blog post, or any other media. What's the essence, like replying to a claim, the quantity of text you want to get, and the output format, because it might be just plain text, might be a table, JSON, whatever. Now let's skip to other possibilities, not only the text. Here's my personal watch. This one. After I just acquired it, I took a picture in this beautiful box. But this picture was taken on the seaside. However, I have never been to a seaside with this watch. So this background is artificially generated, which greatly reduces the cost of preparing photos for your e-commerce site. Now, another technology would be NVIDIA Broadcast. Because there is a possibility you might want some, let's say, product videos in your e-commerce site. Sometimes it's challenging to keep your eyes exactly pointed towards the lens of the camera. It's really hard to keep your eyes straight for a longer period of time. And this technology tracks your eyeballs in the real time and keeps them just looking straight into the camera, no matter where you are just looking. So this is very pretty useful. And it's free. You just need to have this NVIDIA graphics card in your computer. But some of people are too shy to stand in front of camera anyway, and this is the answer for them. This nice lady gestures, smiles, moves her mouth, and speaks fluently in many languages, only that she does not exist. And she's one of the Colossian actors. And this time, my friends, I would say the Turing test is not fully passed, because these artificial actors, however, they may play whatever they want them to play, and you can provide them with text of any kind. In my opinion, they lack this expression of human actors. Really, it's not the same feeling. This technology might need some half a year or a year before it can trick us and pass the Turing test. But for simple product videos, maybe it is a kind of solution, who knows. Then Adobe. In Adobe, you can also use AI, let's say, to cut down the time needed for processing the images, like, let's say, taking out the face out of the background, and then it's much easier to adjust. And I'm telling this from my heart because we use this technology in Romania in February. I told you about our rebranding in February, and we had 3 photo sessions in Bucharest, in Cluj-Napoca, and in Bistrița, and everything took place within 2 days. 50 people in front of cameras, and 3 different photographers with different equipment. I was organizing everything from Poland, like 1,500 kilometers from here. And it was possible to coordinate everything and get a consistent look and feel of the pictures thanks to artificial intelligence. But is the story of Talos only a story of success? Or maybe there is something behind we should be aware of somehow? Because, you know, in mythology, Talos finally fails. And you remember the list of keywords I asked for SEO. I put them in a Google Planner, and it turned out that nobody seeks for them. Then I asked to prepare some list of domains from which I could drive some interesting traffic to get higher traffic on our reptile e-commerce store. As you can see, very nice domains, surely about reptiles, surely about animals. And we sent an expedition through the rainforest to search for these websites, because it turned out that none of them existed. So they were all just hallucinations of the AI. Then I asked for a good SEO title, and I got a great looking title, like the one here, but it was over 100 of characters long. While in Google search results page, we have like 600 pixels only to display the titles, which means we cannot put more than 70-75 characters there. So the title surely is not good for SEO. Then about the hashtags. Out of 11 hashtags, veterinarian would be good enough to go, but I'm not sure really if that would be the best hashtags I could imagine in the social media for business like this. And that's another story, because I have shown to you this replying to a claim of a customer who got a terrarium with a broken glass. So this time I said the customer returns a turtle saying, I don't want this animal anymore, it does not high five. Okay, how can a turtle high five? Impossible, right? But AI seems to take it pretty seriously and explains to a customer that the behavior of your turtle depends on age, sex, species, individual nature, and suggests that you as owner should spend some more time with your animal to establish a stronger bond with this creature. So I wish good luck to everyone who would like to spend more time with turtle to high five, finally, maybe someone. And another dangerous watermarking. I don't see it that often today, but a few months ago, lots of pictures generated using AI, they got these watermarks, not because they were stolen, but because the AI was trained over millions of pictures, stock pictures, which are of course secured with watermarks. And this is why neural networks just believe, look, pretty human word to believe. They believe that watermarks are something desired on the pictures, okay? Because if we as children were presented with millions of photos with watermarks, we would also believe that they should have watermarks, right? So this also happens. So is it only the good? Well, I would like to leave you with one more thought about Walter White and Star Trooper. Walter White is a character of, morally disputable if you have watched Breaking Bad, and Star Trooper, because we started in ancient times, in ancient Greek, so maybe we should finish in a Star Wars universum. And the interesting fact is that the creators of this series, they are pretty unaware that now we can use the characters out of their series so easily and generate them so easily. So is it fair or is it not fair? That's a serious question. Only one of the questions we have to ask ourselves, because, we are just taking part in a kind of run, in a kind of race, and engineers are far ahead, while lawyers and normal people are much, much behind. And one of the topics which is, in my opinion, far behind is morality. Really lots of questions to answer, moral questions to answer, how to use this AI, whose morality should be reflected in AI. Okay, no turtle has been harmed during this presentation, just to let you feel comfortable. Now, if you think that anything of this presentation was interesting to you, here is the QR code. Hope you have still your mobile phones with you. You can scan it, because I have prepared a dedicated landing site on the other side of this QR code, and this presentation, the whole PDF is there to download for you, as well as additional resources you can find on this website. And if you want to stay in touch personally with me, here is my LinkedIn profile, so you can also add me to your contact network and observe my profile to stay updated with AI in e-commerce, because I post about these things pretty often. Thank you very much for your attention today.